under the bed or something.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
they dig a hole in the garden. So the
Hmm.
equivalent for me is like I'm home and I find myself eating a wrap or
Yeah.
eating cold porridge or something. I'm like, I need to go back on tour or stay away from it. I'm not sure, but I
Yeah.
messed up.
Yeah. I totally feel you on that. Yeah. And I travel with my espresso machine. So, and the band loves me for that, if
How
nothing
big is that?
else.
Or is it one of the ones you put in a hot plate, or one of the the George Clooney ones that you plug in
It's the
and put?
George Clooney one. So I
Okay,
have one for the US and I have one for Europe for the plug. And I also I do bring a hot water heater, even though like every hotel room in Europe is going to have a hot water heater. You never know. And
no, but kettle. We like tea in Europe, so you're always going to get a kettle. You should
That's
anyway.
true. Yeah, exactly. But I bring mine just in case because it folds down. So if I have those two things, I'm good. I'm good to go. But the food is so much better on tour in Europe. I will 100%.
I haven't found that, but maybe in the rock venues they just assume we just want to eat pizza, and that is
Yeah.
not true. I don't want to eat pizza for 2 weeks. But
Yeah.
they wouldn't be impressed with your espresso machine if you go to. Have you been to Italy yet? They've got very strong opinions when it comes to coffee
Oh
and
yeah.
food.
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't think I brought it on that trip actually. Yeah.
The folding kettle though, that's a good hack. I never thought of that.
Mhm. Mhm.
And you made it to Ireland, the Cork Jazz Festival, didn't you? On some of your one of your tours.
I did, and boy, do I wish I was in Ireland of all of like 10 or 12 hours.
Oh, really?
And it was one of those tours I'm sure you've had. It was, one straight month and that was the last date, I think. I think it was the last date. And it was one of those tours. I had food poisoning along the way.
Oh
And
God.
but it was the nicest hotel to end in, and it was just beautiful, and I loved the people there, and it was kind of crazy, but it was a fun, really fun experience, and I wish I could spend more than 10 or 12 hours.
What year did you play? Do you remember any of the big headline acts that were on that year? Because I attended it. Well, I play it every year in bars, like, but I would attend a bunch of the big gigs as well.
I think Billy Cobham was there.
Oh yeah,
uh
I missed that. I missed all the gigs because we always. It's the kind of festival. If you're there for the whole weekend, you could get like 10 gigs if you want. There's just
yeah.
gigs all weekend. So if you come back, you'll have to do one of those all weekend playing loads of shows things and do a few workshops if you can.
Oh man, I would love to. Well, it was funny, the gig that we did was the instruments were the bass was okay, but the end pin didn't work. So I was just like, so it was basically on the floor. The drum, it was a complete drum rock kit. It was like a 24-inch bass drum and keyboard, which isn't ideal, but it was it was stuck a minor third below concert.
Really, that's
Yeah,
crazy that they would give you such substandard equipment.
it was pretty. Yeah, I will say it was substandard. And the pianist, I'm fine on the road. Like I keep my cool and I make sure everyone's good, but he was on his last leg.
Hmm.
He needed to go home. And he couldn't figure out how to change the keyboard. So I said, "Fuck it." And I knew like he couldn't do this. I was like, "I'll play everything down a minor third." And I started changed all my keys,
That's crazy.
changed the tunes. I was like, "Let's just okay, last gig." But the best part, speaking of baseball, it was during the World Series, and I'm a big baseball fan.
Hmm. I love how they
So
call it the World Series, but it's
I
just the
know
American
it's
Championship.
just yes, it's just the United States of America, North American Series. But I remember flying back. I think it was like from Cork to Amsterdam or something, and I was so exhausted. But I was watching this baseball game, and baseball games are only 9 innings, but this one went to like 18. It was so boring, but I was so confused when I landed in Amsterdam. I was like, why is this game still going on?
It just I've actually flight to Amsterdam from Cork before. It's not a super long flight, but that's a long baseball game if it lasts for the whole thing.
Yeah, I was really confused when I got off the flight.
So you don't get to bring your own bass because the bass is so expensive. When you leave North America or even California, you don't get to bring your own bass. You have to just get one wherever you are. Like,
Yeah, and especially in Europe, I don't really mind it because most of the basses are really fantastic. They're really great, and they have a lot of respect for the instruments over there. And it's also an opportunity for me to make sure that I carry the sound in my hands and what I want to hear. But sometimes it'll offer something different. Like the sound will just be so different, so it'll inspire you to play something differently. Still sounding like yourself, but I've told this story before, but I was in Serbia and the bass that they had, I'm surprised they even had a bass there. The bass that they had was like made from maybe a piece of bass. It looked like, a piece of like another, like a violin or a cello. And honestly, like a piece of boat. It was crazy the way this thing was like put together. And it was so cool when I got on it. I was on another person's gig, but I was just like, wow, this is really cool sound, and it inspired me to play a little bit differently.
That's mad. Yeah, you don't really have that with electric instruments. They do have different sounds, but for me, electric instruments are in very broad brushstrokes. Like that's a P bass, they all sound the same. That's a jazz, they all sound. I don't care if yours is 2000 or mine is a square. They're pretty
Yeah.
much the same. But acoustic instruments are completely different in that regard.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
And you never were tempted to get one of those electric ones that is just a neck and you can put it in a bag and put it on your back and bring it with you.
No, because I'm such an acoustic player. Like sometimes I usually just play with a microphone in front of the bass, but if I can tell that the sound person, like that's not going to work, and if there's a pickup, I'll let them go direct. But yeah, for the most part, I'm a very acoustic bass player.
Yeah, the pickups don't sound great on. Well, I bought a good one, a K&M for that one behind me, and it just doesn't sound great, does it? Like the pickups and double basses. Well, it's very hard to EQ. It's so boomy. I think
Yeah.
the microphone kind of does a better job of picking up the actual timbre of the instrument.
Yeah, and by the time you EQ a pickup, it's like you have a pickup, then you've got like a blender, then you have like all these devices, and all you want to do is make the sound of your bass louder.